And we're back. This is Hook and Ladder. We are week 12?
Yes.
12?
11 or 12.
Scroll right back up.
I always forget.
12, yeah.
Try to count like how many games, and then they count in the bye. So 9-1, the bye is 10, 11.
So we're 12, week 12. Let's go ahead and get started. Oregon knocked off Minnesota 42-13.
I watched a good bit of this game. They did what I wanted them to do against Minnesota. Minnesota's not a bad football team. They're not great either. I wanted to see them dominate, and they pretty much did. I think they got away with one. They got a touchdown, in my opinion, and quoting the video. It was incomplete, but they called it a touchdown. Whatever. Is what it is. Moore looked good. Defense looked good. Everybody looked good for Oregon for the most part, and kind of getting them right for a big matchup next week, I believe. It's USC.
Mm-hmm. Moving right along, we got Clemson knocked off Louisville 20-19.
Watch this game. It was a comedy of errors. I mean, it was back and forth, and then towards the end, Louisville gave it to Clemson, and Clemson tried to give it back to Louisville with the muffed, not a muffed punt, like it was a bad snap, really. Punter got tackled, and then they couldn't punch it in. QB took a bad sack, got him out of field goal range, which I thought was inexcusable for the quarterback of with that kind of experience. Inexcusable, but that was a tough loss for Louisville because they were in contention to make the playoffs, and now they're out. That's their third loss. They're out. Unranked Clemson, they're out. So basically, once again, for the third straight week, the ACC didn't do itself any favors. Tough break for Louisville. Good, big win for the Clemson program. All right, so they're one win away from being bowl eligible, and they've got 2 losses. They were 4-5. They win. Now they're 5-5. They got 2 more games left. I feel both of the games are easily winnable. We'll get to their last opponent of the year here in a second, but
Yes, we will.
But good for them. I think there were some people like, oh, did that save Dabo's job? I don't think he was going to get fired, but I do believe had they lost this, and depending on how the rest of the season goes, that seat definitely would be warming up for him.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about Saturday's matchups. We got Ohio State knocked off UCLA 48-10. Julian Sam went out for a bit, but came back.
Yep, so did Jeremiah Smith. He went out, didn't play the second half. It's UCLA. They're not a good football team. They did what they're supposed to do against a team like this. I just keep coming back to schedules, and I don't want to. I feel like I'm harping on this every week, but it's the truth. The Big Ten and the SEC are not the same. No. I'm going to completely exclude Ohio State from that conversation because Ohio State can play with anybody in the country, any day of the week, on any field in the country. If they were in the SEC, they'd probably be maybe a one-loss team, depending on the schedule. Maybe they'd win out. You never know. There's a couple of SEC teams who got 1 loss. I think it would take its toll week after week as it's showing in the SEC. It's the rest of the conference, and we'll get to that in a minute, that I think is kind of crap. And I've said it before, you don't blame Ohio State. They play the schedule they're given. But they do every single week what I kind of want to see them do. They haven't really sleptwalked too much through through a game during the season, and that's kind of the hallmark of what I believe is them turning the corner after they won the championship last year. Where in years past, they'd have a game, they looked a little lethargic. Of course, losing to Michigan 4 years in a row, right? It's 4?
Yeah.
And 3 of the 4 years they should have never lost to them. But they do what I want to see them do and just kick everyone's ass.
Moving right along. Indiana knocked off Wisconsin 31-7.
Same thing with Indiana. I mean, I watched a little bit of this game. I watched a little bit of the Ohio State games. I had the Ohio State game on, but there was another game I was glued to. There was a couple games I was glued to last night. But, Indiana, the same thing. Their schedule is absolutely atrocious. I don't think they're as good as Ohio State. They're a good football team. Still think A&M should be ranked ahead of them. Yeah. But, it is what it is. We'll see what they're made of in 2 weeks, 3 weeks when they have to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis.
Well, moving right along, Texas A&M comes back, knocks off South Carolina after being down the largest deficit to ever come back in a game in the SEC.
They were down 30-3 at the half. South Carolina was rolling. I mean, everything was working offensively. They were running the football. They were passing the football. surprisingly, it wasn't just Nick Harbor making plays and Louis Marcellus. The run game was doing well. Other wideouts were stepping up. Harbor had that really long touchdown where he just, outran everybody. The safety took a bad angle to him and missed the tackle. He outran, got bumped into a sheriff in the freaking tunnel, and the sheriff starts like yelling at the players. And I'm kind of like, do you not know there's a football game going on here, guy? Like, why are you yelling at these kids?
Yeah, he may have losing his job.
He got relieved of his duties as a detail of the stadium, which I know from talking to cops. College stadium details pay a lot of money, way more than directing traffic. So he's not going to do that anymore. I doubt he gets fired from the sheriff's department.
Well, I don't think it's sheriffs; it's state troopers typically do that job.
Either way, I don't think he's getting canned. I mean, that's just a stupid thing. Anyway, but everything was going right for South Carolina. Everything was going wrong for A&M. And on top of that, it wasn't just things going wrong like turnovers and fumbles. It just Marcel Reed played like absolute dog shit. Their entire team played like dog shit. You had wideouts dropping passes left. Like it's like every drive there was a guy dropping a pass. They couldn't tackle for shit. They go into half 30-3, 27-point deficit. I think teams were winning like 286, went down by more than 26 points at the half, and they came back. Everything went right for them, and South Carolina helped them out. What they were doing in the first half, they kind of went away from it. You kind of got the impression that Shane Beamer was like, we're up 27 points. Let's just bleed the clock and not be aggressive. And I felt that's what they were doing. They weren't throwing the football down the field. They were little short 3-yard hitches to guys that weren't Nick Harbor. The running game wasn't working. Sellers, they weren't running Sellers, which I thought they should have been doing. He was taking sacks, but they weren't running him to kind of like, at least show that they were willing to try something different. And A&M came back and scored pretty much on every drive. They had a 4th and 12. I believe it was their first possession of the second half. And Reed scrambled and got it through. And he ended up going for 439. And I think, 5 touchdowns?
Something crazy like that.
They had a possession in the first half where they get the ball inside the 10. The dude drops a touchdown pass. And then they missed a field goal. Everything went right for him in the second half. Amazing display of like just being resilient and being like, all right, we're down a boatload of points. Let's just
it's a character builder.
It is. And that kind of shows they're the number 3 team in the country for a reason. Yeah, they look like dog shit, but they came back and made it happen. How many teams, in the top 10 are coming back from 27 down?
What's everybody doing in the SEC?
To a good team, a team that's got dudes on that team, athletes. Yeah. It's not like you're playing Rutgers and you happen to get down by 27.
That's right. Oklahoma knocked off Alabama 23-21.
Another game that I'm surprised. They're like we'll talk about next. We talked about like Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, recent. Sometimes you're in these games and it's a team that kind of has your number, and there's just errors. Like Ty Simpson didn't play very good. Turned the ball over a couple times, and Oklahoma's defense, I think, got 17 points in this game. And it's like, all right, completely uncharacteristic. I mean, Alabama can go into a hostile environment with a history in the last year and a half of not playing well on the road, not get a single false start penalty, not have a single turnover, and absolutely play lights out. Well, then a team that they're vastly superior than comes to town, and they basically shit the bed. And I don't understand it. They're a better football team than Oklahoma, and I thought they had a lot of chances to win this game. They just couldn't get it done. I got to give credit to Oklahoma's defense. Mateer played okay. Ty Simpson played all right, especially second half. Yeah. Threw for 300. But Mateer, to me, as a quarterback, he's just not the best passer. He's still missing throws that he was missing during that Michigan game. I thought this point in the season he used to be making. His thumb is completely fine. But he ran the football very, very well. And they capitalized on Alabama mistakes. I think they scored every single point they scored ended up being off an Alabama turnover. So give them credit. Second year in a row, they beat Alabama. Alabama now has 2 losses, only 1 in the SEC. So they still control their own destiny. to the SEC championship game, but they've got to win their next two. You got to beat Auburn last game of the season, or else not only are you not in the SEC championship game, but a 3-loss team, and 2 of those losses will be to unranked opponents. They're probably out the playoffs.
No, definitely not. Texas takes the big L to Georgia, 35-10. Georgia would look dominant.
They looked really dominant, and this game was in the third quarter. It was 14-3. Mm-hmm. It was. I don't want to say it wasn't really in doubt. I got the feeling Texas just couldn't do anything unless Georgia gave it to them.
Right.
Well, Georgia gave it to them, and you got to credit Texas defense because 4 possessions in a row they forced Georgia to punt. And then the next possession was the 5th possession was the interception by Gunnar Stockton deep inside their own territory, gave Texas a ridiculously short field, and still they needed a pass interference to bail them out and get them at 1st and goal where they scored the touchdown the next play. Mm-hmm. Even then, I kind of felt if Texas has to drive more than half the length of the field, they're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
And as I'm watching Georgia's defense with this game, I'm thinking, Texas offense is soft. Mm-hmm. Their offense is based off pre-snap motions and eye candy to confuse the defense. They don't go down the field too much. It's a lot of short passes and intermediate throws. But if you punch them in the face on the line of scrimmage, they get all out of sorts. Mm-hmm. And Georgia wasn't falling for the eye candy, as we saw twice last year. Georgia beat them. Georgia's defense just took over this game. Georgia's offensive line went up against the second-best rushing team in the country, rushing defense in the country, and ran the ball pretty damn well on them. Nate Frazier went for 72. I think, combined running backs, QB, they went for over 100, but they got the yards when they needed to. Mm-hmm. After that interception where they got the touchdown to Texas, Georgia goes for it on 4th and 1. Deep in their own territory, they get it. Mm-hmm. Goes for it again on 4th and 4. Later in that drive, get it. They score a touchdown. They're up 21-10. They do the onside kick, which was ballsy as hell. I didn't see that coming. Mm-hmm. They get the football again, go down, score a touchdown. Stop it. Texas, get the ball, go back, score a touchdown. And those 3 touchdown drives, they bullied Texas defense. Yeah. Huge game for Georgia. They look like a team that could easily compete for a national championship after the way they played, because even though I know Texas isn't phenomenal, to do what they did against Texas defense, which is still legit, I was really impressed.
Yeah, they played very well. Mm-hmm. Texas Tech knocked off UCF 48-9. You see this one?
I watched this game, had it on the downstairs TV, but had to keep going back upstairs to take care of some stuff. I was on call yesterday, so I had to work a decent bit during the day. I watched a little bit of it, even though it was on the whole game, and they did what I wanted to see them do, beat a bad UCF team and just beat the hell out of them. Get ready for playoffs. They're basically 100% in.
Yeah. Ole Miss knocked off Florida 34-24. That was a little bit of...
Yeah, Florida came to play. I really thought, they came to play against Georgia, and they lost a tough one, big rivalry, and then they basically just let Kentucky take them out behind the woodshed and beat them, and then beat them a second time. It was bad. I thought they were over and done with. They were just going to mail the rest of the season in. But they came to play. Yep. And I'm wondering how much that is the rumor that Ole Miss is going to, or Lane Kiffin's going to go to Florida. And they wanted to play. But they played well. Ole Miss got the win. They played pretty good as well. Defensively for them, I need to see more from Ole Miss defensively, or they're going to get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. But credit them. Lane Kiffin said all the right things. You got a good team. He gets good players in the portal every year. They're spending the money for him. Do you really want to go to Florida to try to rebuild that program?
I don't know.
Or stay at Ole Miss and you can win 9 games. They're going to love you forever.
Yeah. Notre Dame knocked off Pitt 37-15.
I watched this game because I know Pitt's got a really good young quarterback that can throw the football around, but they were just outclassed in this, and it was evident early on. The minute it became 14-0, I was like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Love went for 150 yards and a couple touchdowns. They did what they needed to do against a ranked team. I think Narduzzi's an idiot. The whole, this game doesn't matter because they're not in the ACC. It's like, yeah, it does, you jackass. You lose it. And if you're a 2-loss team, that means you're out in the playoffs. Yeah. People keep talking about conference championships like it's the only thing there is to play for.
Right.
It's a 12-team playoff. Next year's going to be 16 teams, right? It's next year.
I think it's next year, yeah.
Win the game.
That's right. BYU knocked off TCU 44-13.
Bear Bachmeier has an awesome game. They needed this win badly after losing last week. I still think they're out of the playoff race, but you never know. Crazy things have happened, but they've basically, got the ship on the right track after the loss.
That's right. Utah knocked off Baylor 55-28.
Had some ex-coworkers, I guess I should say, at this game. A couple of them, and a Utah fan and a Baylor fan. So I had this one on the phone for a little bit, and then I kind of got watching the Ole Miss Florida game and the Georgia-Texas game and didn't really pay too much attention to it. But I figured Utah would win this game. Baylor's not that good.
No. Moving right along, Miami knocks off NC State 41-7. Miami did what they needed to do.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do. They had to show the committee they can beat the hell out of somebody, and I kind of feel the score was them trying to impress, being like, hey, we're 15 right now, but a few teams lost. Put us back in. I don't know if it's going to be enough. They've got 2 losses, and that conference is a mess.
It is. Speaking of a mess, Georgia Tech got all they wanted from Boston College and knocked them off 36-34.
4th or 5th time this season, Georgia Tech probably should have lost this game. Give credit to Georgia Tech, though. They stuck with it and came back. Haynes King had a huge day passing the football. Boston College is not a good team. They were 1-9. Now they're 1-10. Local kid from right up the street, playing quarterback for him, 4-star recruit, committed to Alabama. I don't know where he went after that, but now he's at Boston College, Dylan Lonergan. Boston College gave him everything they could, but you could just tell they didn't have enough athletes to make it happen. Their star linebacker had an ankle injury, and almost every play, it seemed like that guy was going off the field for a play or two, and that hurt him. Him going down stopped the clock a couple of times, where I thought if that clock continues to run, he doesn't go down, things can get real dicey for Georgia Tech. Whereas they're trying a very long field goal to win or trying to throw it to the end zone to win. But give them credit. They won the game. They're still a 1-loss team.
Yeah.
Should have probably lost at least 2 more. But I don't think their defense is all that good.
No. USC knocked off Iowa 26-21. USC's still alive.
Yeah, they're still alive. They got a big showdown, I think, this weekend with Oregon. They were down 14-0, came back. Huge deficit for them. Yeah. They come back and win. Miami looked good. I thought they looked really good. They ran the football pretty well. They threw the football well. Their defense stepped up when they needed to. Iowa's a tough out. Yeah. They scored 21 points, so I'm surprised that Iowa scored that many points. But they're better this year offensively than they've been, and they're still solid on defense and special teams. They're not an easy out, regardless of whether you're playing at home or not. The weather conditions, in my opinion, played to Iowa's favor. But give credit to USC, they got it done.
That's right. Michigan knocked off Northwestern 24-22. They didn't play this in Wrigley.
They did. They played this in Wrigley, and I'm watching this game, and I'm just like, Michigan's doing everything they can to give Northwestern the game. Northwestern's not a great football team. They got one guy on offense that would kind of maybe scare you a little bit, that Wildy guy at wideout. They play fundamental defense, but you can tell they don't have that kind of athletes some of these other teams have. They're good at what they do. They can still make a bowl game based on what they have, but Michigan shouldn't be in a close game like this with a team like Northwestern.
Right.
But all the damn turnovers. So like I said, they try to give them the game. And, any game like this, in any conference, if you turn the ball over 4 or 5 times, you shouldn't expect to win the game.
That's right.
Credit to Michigan for getting it done, but it's kind of one of those deals where they need to get better fast, or Oklahoma's going to, Ohio State's going to splatter them.
Yeah. Virginia knocked off Duke 34-17.
Virginia's still alive. They're still in the hunt. Big win. Duke, that's their 5th loss. And all the talk this week was of the nightmare scenario for the ACC, where a 4-loss Duke goes to the conference championship game and wins it. But yeah, Duke's not that great.
No. Tennessee knocked off New Mexico State 42-9.
Yeah, not a kind of a game that the stats jump off the page at you. They did what they needed to do in a game like this, just kind of tune up, get things right, keep people healthy because they got a big showdown coming up in a couple of weeks with Vanderbilt. And that game's going to be whether Vanderbilt makes the playoffs or not.
Yeah. South Florida loses to Navy 41-38.
Yep. Back and forth. Well, the Navy got off to a big lead, and then South Florida kind of came back and made a game. The Navy scored a couple of late touchdowns to really pull away. Yeah. South Florida's done. Yeah. That's their third loss. They're out of it. Yeah. To an unranked Service Academy, they're done. So we're probably going to stop talking about them because they won't be ranked.
That's right. What you got? LSU knocked off Arkansas. The two teams with no head coach right now.
That was an ugly game. Van Buren didn't look good. LSU just kind of looks like both teams, in my opinion, just kind of looked like they were ready for the season to be over.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Kentucky got Texas.
Kentucky won. That was a big win for them. I think a lot of people penciled in that Florida game last week as a loss for them, and they got the win. So things are kind of looking good, looking up and up for them. They've played a couple of good teams tough.
That's right. Got Illinois knocked off Maryland.
Yep. Big win for Illinois. Penn State got the win against Michigan State. I mean, like the Big Ten, there's a lot of really bad teams in the Big Ten.
Wake Forest.
A lot of really bad teams.
North Carolina.
Florida State got a much-needed win against Virginia Tech.
That's right.
Missouri beating Mississippi State, which I thought Mississippi State was going to win this game. I picked them, but Hardy had like a day and a half running the football. Went for 300 yards rushing. Mississippi State's defense isn't that good. Their offense, their offense should keep them in a lot of games. Yeah. But man, their defense is bad. Yeah. I expect them to be better next year. Every year, Jeff Levy's team just keeps getting better and better and better.
I agree. Well, let's start talking about next week's games, next week's matchups. It's going to be kind of a down week since a lot of teams are on byes next week.
Yeah, and this season's been strange. There's been a lot of upsets, but there's been a whole lot of almost upsets.
Yeah.
In this NIL era where there's more parity in the game, there's been a lot of games where it's like, okay, the favored team, the ranked team's going down, and they get the ball back, one last chance to win the game. There's been a lot of that this year, a lot more almost upsets. Yeah. There's been a handful of upsets, but I think I kind of would have expected more, I guess. Some of those would-be upsets didn't happen.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. We got Tuesday night matchup. We got Akron and Bowling Green. We got playing at 7 o'clock for $9. You can see this game. Western Michigan's taking on Northern Illinois. I don't know. Scroll on down. Trying to scroll.
Wednesday night, Miami of Ohio versus Buffalo.
Yeah. Let's see. We got
Friday night. That'll be a decent game to watch on a Friday night. If there's nothing going on, you can watch unranked Florida State play unranked NC State at NC State 8 o'clock. Should be a decent game to watch.
Yeah.
So here's where I am with some of these unranked teams, and Florida State's an excellent candidate. As is Florida, and as is, like a team Tennessee, even though they're not unranked. But these guys, you just have the reason why I'm bringing this up is today Brew Carter announced he's going to enter the transfer portal. Highly ranked recruit, I think he was a 4 or 5 star player that Tennessee got. Yeah. He's going to enter the portal. So these are the games I'm watching to see what kind of guys they got, who still wants to play. The season's basically over for all intents and purposes. They still have games left. Who still wants to show up and compete? Yeah. And of those guys, how many of them are going to be on that team next year? Right. Who's hitting the portal and stuff like that. I do expect to see more portal news coming after next week's game. With after next week, there'll be 1 week left in the regular season, and then of course that portal's going to explode.
There's only one portal window.
One portal window now, and it's the one at the end of the season. It'll be to January or something like that. But that's why I'm going to watch games like that, Florida State, NC State games, see who still wants to compete and who I think could be entering the portal.
That's right. Next Saturday, we got Rutgers at Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State, just, that gauntlet of a schedule. Again, not their fault. There was talk this morning about them resting a bunch of players in this game, or at least trying to get them some work in the first quarter and get them out. Jeremiah Smith, I don't know how healthy he is. You got Samford at A&M. A&M, the same thing, kind of rest up, take advantage. You got Texas, a huge rivalry game next week. That's basically going to determine whether or not A&M makes the SEC championship game. Because if they lose, it's a three-way tie between, and it also kind of depends on how Alabama is. So there'll be 4 one-loss teams in the conference, and the head-to-head's out the window because they don't all play each other. And then common opponent, same thing. They don't all play common opponents. So they're going to a weird tiebreaker thing today that I read, and A&M basically needs to win this game.
Missouri has got Oklahoma at noon. Let's see.
At Oklahoma. It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah. Miami at Virginia Tech.
Should be easy win for Miami.
Should.
Louisville at SMU.
Should.
That game could go either way, in my opinion.
Minnesota at Northwestern. Delaware at Wake Forest. Let's see what else we got. Charlotte at Georgia at 12:45.
Yep, that's Georgia. Georgia had
a lot of people
got three kind of cupcake teams this year because last year they played Clemson to start the year, so it was only 2. So I kind of was trying to remember. That's to be a rest up game for them as well. Get ready for Georgia Tech. Georgia's kind of banged up after the game yesterday.
Yeah. Let's see.
Eastern Illinois at Alabama. Mercer at Auburn. So this week is the SEC's cupcake week, basically, which I think is wrong. It won't be that way next year. Really bummed. So I wanted to go watch Georgia at Louisville. Well, that game is going to be canceled to add in another SEC team. I mean, Louisville, ACC team. It's not like they're playing a cupcake. You go into a Power 5 opponent, but whatever. That would have been fun to go to. Louisville's a fun city.
Yeah. So you got South Florida at UAB at 3. USC, Oregon, 3:30 kick.
3:30. That's the big one at 3:30. That's probably going to be one that's going to be on the big TV. Syracuse at Notre Dame, nothing fancy there. The Fran Brown's team is a rebuilding year for them. I still think if he sticks around, which I'm not sure he's going to, but if he sticks around, I think they could be good again in the future. I think if he goes to a school like Auburn, or if ended up going like Ole Miss or something, he could be dangerous. Yeah. He's a really good coach. He's a hell of a recruiter. Those kids relate to the guy.
Yeah, they fight for him. We got Kentucky, Vanderbilt, 3:30. Arkansas, Texas at 3:30.
That Kentucky at Vanderbilt game. Kentucky's a solid football team. I mean, they're physical. I expect Vandy to win this game, but that's not going to be an easy out for Vanderbilt. Yeah. Especially the way Kentucky's been playing on offense.
That's right. North Carolina at Duke. If it was basketball, I'd be like,
it'd be great
match. Let's see what else we got. We got Kansas State at Utah. We got Michigan at
Maryland at 4.
Yeah. See, we got Coastal Carolina and South Carolina. Yeah.
Furman's at Clemson.
These two play in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you got Pittsburgh at Georgia Tech.
Big time matchup here.
That's a big matchup. If you're Pittsburgh, you gotta win this game just to keep your hopes alive for a decent season. I believe they're out of the race for the ACC championship game. Georgia Tech basically controls their own destiny.
Let's see. We got Nebraska at Penn State.
Tennessee at Florida. Saturday night, 7:30. Used to be one of the biggest rivalry games there was. That game could get dicey for Tennessee. I mean, I expect Tennessee to be able to put up some points, but I don't think Florida's as good offensively as they could be, so Tennessee might kind of be in decent shape there. But I mean, Florida lost another one last night, a game they were in. Are they going to be wanting to play, or is it going to be basically over?
That's right.
You never know.
You got BYU at Cincinnati at 8. Oh, Fox.
There's a game in every time slot next week that I'm going to be glued to.
Yeah. Lots of matchups. A lot of fun stuff out there.
Yeah. And it's a cupcake week for the SEC, but there's still other teams and other conferences that could have their hopes and dreams dashed if they don't make sure they're paying attention, bringing their A game.
It's a ho-hum weekend next week, but you know what? Those ho-hum weekends tend to be the ones with the most chaos.
Usually something crazy happens.
Yeah. You got a bunch of people going in every which way direction. You got coaches leaving. You got kids looking to check out. There's no telling what's going to happen next week. Well, that concludes this week's slate of games, and we'll do it again next week.
See ya.